Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Warrior Report here on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thank you for joining us here today. We are brought to you by Russell & Associates, coming to you from the 111 Riverfront Building, the Latch Development Center in downtown Winona. And here to talk football with head coach Brian Bergstrom. Congratulations on the win this week, and thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thank you. It was fun.
Yeah, so let's walk through it. It was a low-scoring game. Obviously, we talked last week about not taking Mary for granted at being 0 for 4 or 0 for 5 on the season, and you go in there and you score first. Tell us a little bit about how you felt your team played this week.
Yeah, well, first off, you get to enjoy all different types of wins, and that's certainly our goal every week is to win the game. Now you got to look deeper within that, like we've talked about many times. In areas you got to be better, in areas that went well. And thought we started fast. It was a great trip. I mean, it was long, but our guys handled it well. Thought they've traveled like champions, and Coach Olson does a great job of planning out the trip, of where we're stopping, and because that's a big deal. How your body's going to feel when you get up there. That's a long time on a bus. So to say it doesn't matter, we'd be lying to ourselves, and did a good job with that. But came out of the chute really well, and scored right away on offense, and then defensively forced a punt in the first couple drives, and then from there it kind of became a defensive battle and a battle of field position, and defensively, outside of a play where one guy didn't fit his gap, really good day, and played on their side of the line of scrimmage a lot. I think that's what a lot of TFLs, a lot of quarterback hits. I think that helped us. And then offensively, we established a lot of drives. We shot ourselves in the foot on third down and red zone, and we got to find a way to continue to get better when it matters the most. And really proud of, we were backed up in our own end inside the 4 or 5 times, and we got ourselves out of there. We didn't always certainly score, but we got ourselves out where we weren't kicking a tight punt where we're all crammed in there. And then on special teams, I thought the coverage units did a really good job. We had a fake punt executed well, and we just got to be better on our return units. That was part of the reason why we ended up so far back in our own end. But ultimately, we won a game. We won a game on the road, coming back home, 3-3, homecoming. This is where we're supposed to be right now.
All right, and then one of the other things that, too, was interesting about this game is that when it came fourth quarter time, you had a long, sustained drive. It took a lot of time off the clock and didn't allow Mary really a whole lot of chance until I think maybe 4 or 4.5 minutes left in the game. They had one more chance, and they didn't really do anything with that. But to be able to control the tempo of the game late and hold on to a win on the road, I think is fantastic. For
sure. Part of the time on offense, you're trying to score as fast as you can. Certainly, sometimes you're just at a normal pace, and we were still trying to score, but we were very, very aware of how much clock we were using, because at that point, we're competing against Mary, but we're also competing against the clock, because if we can hold it until the game's over, obviously they can't score. You know, it's not that confusing, but not easy to do, because they also know we're probably going to be a little bit more conservative. We're going to run the ball more, so they can call defenses that try to combat that.
Let's talk a little bit about the offense first. We'll get to the defense in a minute. But Cole Stenstrom, 21 of 39, 273 yards, 2 touchdown passes. The running game was interesting. You had a lot of players involved, and then not necessarily running backs too, because I think one of the wide receivers had a run, and Tristan Root was credited with some yards.
That was a fake punt.
All right. So getting that many players involved, but no one really stood out, even though I think it was a total of 160 yards on the ground. But still, there isn't one feature back, and I think that's a good thing, because that keeps defenses on their toes. How do you feel about the run game?
Excited about the progress that we made, and that helped us throw the ball when we were able to establish the ground game, and we are running back by committee, and they have a great attitude about it. They are selfless. They're coachable. What it does is it keeps guys fresh, and it keeps them healthier, right? Fresher and healthier. You can't guarantee anything. But certainly if you minimize the amount of times a running back gets hit, that's going to up their odds of staying healthy. And we want guys that are fresh in the fourth quarter if we had one back that was always in, he's bound to be more tired in the fourth, where I think our guys they're chomping at the bit to go in because they want to compete and they want to play, which I want them to. But it's like we do with most positions, outside of quarterback right now, we're rotating guys in, and they're doing a good job with it.
And I think that's especially impressive on the road because the travel roster is smaller, and so you have less options to go to, although you did have plenty of options. And then we got to talk about Quentin Pringle. He was the guy that led the running backs this week, and that's not a name that we've called a whole lot this season.
So Quentin was a transfer this summer and did a great job getting acclimated and forming relationships. Great person, great teammate, and very humble. He got dinged up in the Saginaw game, so he was in the beginning of the Saginaw game, and then you haven't seen him.
Yeah.
And we knew it wasn't going to be for the whole season, but we didn't know how long. So he's just another name added to the mix now, where as we saw in game one, he got hurt. That happens sometimes. So next man up.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the defense then, because again, it was kind of by committee. Lincoln Snitker was the one that led you in tackles with 7 solo tackles, and then everybody else kind of combined for the other tackles. How do you feel the defense played?
Really good, with the exception of the one play where we didn't fit the run the right way. But it's a great example. You got to do it all the time, and you have to have all 11 of you doing it, because the other 10 guys were doing it right on that play. But sometimes it doesn't matter. You can't make up for that. So, like I said, I thought they played on their side of the line of scrimmage much better than we have. A lot of TFLs and quarterback hits, and just an aggressive style of play, but like a controlled aggressiveness, where our focus all week for our team, but certainly the defense, was to do your job. And let's not make it more complicated than that. Sometimes, even though the intentions are good, when you're trying to make sure somebody else is lined up right, or make sure they know what they're doing, you take yourself away from what your job is. And I thought we did a better job of that. Now, we still had some opportunities to create some takeaways, which we probably could have created great momentum from, and that may have sparked the offense. So you can't just say, oh, they played well, we only gave up 7 points. Yeah, that's good, but what else could we have done to build on the momentum of complementary football? And the better the team you play, the more you're going to need that.
All right. I'm going to try to frame this question as best I can. I don't know if it's going to come out right, but obviously you have Augustana this week, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But outside of that, after the game against Mary, is there anything that you work on in practice to improve your team, not necessarily based on who the opponent is going to be this week? Is there anything at this point in the season that you still need to work on just team-wise?
Yeah, for sure. And that's, I think sometimes coaches and teams get so caught up in who you're playing, which is, you need to do that too. You have to be ready for what they're going to do. But you also got to get better at football in week 7 or wherever we're at right now. So we have got to continue to get better at getting off of blocks on defense and playing with great pad level. And I think we're growing in our tackling and getting better. But whoever we play, we're going to need to tackle, So those are things that we start practice with every day. And offensively, we need to execute, regardless of who we play, in the red zone better and on third down better. And those are things that we can practice. And for example, we're going to do those things during our individual time, but we're going to do them against each other, where it's Winona State defense against Winona State offense. It has nothing to do with Augustana, but it has to do with us getting off blocks better and being better on third down and creating a competitive spirit within practice. And we'll have our scout teams work the scheme of Augustana as well.
All right, and then let's talk offensive scheme right now. You scored 17 points against Mary, good enough to get the win. Obviously, as a coach, I know you want to get more. So what do you do to do that with the fact that Augustana is coming up this weekend?
Well, I think you learn and then you move on, right? I think we had multiple opportunities to score more points, and we can continue to beat ourselves up about it, or we can use it as motivation to say, well, we need more work on this, or we need to create other ways to try and scheme up plays that put our guys in a position to be successful. And I think if we're honest with ourselves, it's usually a combination of both. And that is not unique to the fact that we play Augustana. We're going to play a lot of good teams. And what our job is as coaches is to give our guys as many reps as possible at the things we're going to do to try and put Augustana's defense at a disadvantage and get our guys feeling very, very comfortable with the plan. If they're comfortable with the plan, we rep it, they're able to just focus on doing their job when it comes to Saturday. And we can't forget that these guys play the game of football. They don't think it, they don't strategize it, they're not a coach. They're a college student that plays football. And it's really important to them, and they put a ton of time in. But they also, they're playing the game. They're playing the game because they love it. So we got to make sure that their mind is free and their heart is full, on game day. So that's our job.
All right, so we've kind of danced around it, but now Augustana is coming in undefeated. How do you see this game going? What are some of the things that you've been looking at on tape that you know about Augustana that maybe keep you up at night heading into this game this week?
Well, one it's unique for me because I coached Augustana for 5 years with Coach OJ, but that's just a personal thing. Yeah. It's a fun day to be able to compete against somebody you're so close against or so close with. But I see a really good football team. There's a reason why they are undefeated. And part of that is their talent. Part of that is their culture. Their culture is very similar to our culture in terms of what they're trying to accomplish and how they play. And got a ton of respect for what they do and how they do it. I see this being a good football game. I see playing at Winona State as a very difficult place for an opponent to play. And we're a growing team. We're a team that's getting better. We're a team that hasn't lost at home. We're a team that beat Augustana at home last year. So those things are going through their mind, where the pressure's on them being 6-0, playing a 3-3 team. And we're just fine with the position that we're in because ultimately it's about Saturday, and it's about us, and it's about our environment, and it's about us controlling what we can control. But make no doubt about it, they're a great team.
I think the last question here, we were talking a little bit about injuries earlier with Quentin Pringle. How is this team health-wise coming into the Augustana game? Obviously, you want to have all your top guns out there, but we know that A.J. Lacey has been out. So what does this team look like health-wise coming into this weekend?
Yeah, I think we've had the bigger ones like A.J., that's so obvious that you're missing him because he's such a dynamic player. But coming out of last game, pretty solid in terms of everybody should be back. And Trevor Paulson, quarterback, has been I'm just excited for him because he's been rehabbing that shoulder so long, and he's within a couple weeks of being able to be cleared. I mean, he can get out there and throw the ball all around, just cleared for full competition. But every football team battles injuries, and I think we're one of them. And I would put us kind of right in the average in terms of we've had some, but we haven't had as many as others. And that's why it's so important to have depth, and that's why it's so important to be ready when you don't have the pressure of actually performing right then. If you're the 2 or the 3, you got to say, tomorrow I may become the 1, because you don't know. And next man up.
All right, we got about a minute left, and I should mention it's also homecoming. Oh, by the way. So what does that mean to you here in year 2?
Well, homecoming's so special because it's about people. It's the people coming home, and it's the alums coming back. It's former players. It's former families. It draws the whole campus family together, and that the football game is kind of the accumulation of the week, and that's kind of, I'm biased coaching football, but that's the reason homecoming exists, is for the game. And so a lot of cool activities are going to be throughout, the Hall of Fame banquet and distinguished alumni and game day experience and the pep fest and the parade and a bunch of cool things. But our guys need to be laser focused on doing their job on Saturday, and there'll be plenty of time to see people after the game, and we want to make it as normal of a week as we can for them.
And then I've heard some rumors too. Tickets are going to be hard to come by. I hear there's a big demand for this game, and it's going to be packed this weekend.
It'll be packed, so get your tickets early.
All right, thank you. I appreciate the time, and good luck this week against Augustana.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're going to take a break here on the Warrior Report. When we come back, Eddie Hodges will join us right after this.
For over 60 years, Russell & Associates has been helping individual and business clients achieve what matters to them. Our trusted advisors have the expertise and experience to help with long-term plans for personal finance, business finance, or wealth management. Focus on what matters most. Call Russell & Associates certified public accountants and advisors today at 507-452-3100 or visit us online at russellcpafirm.com.
Meet Jenny Siseski of Edina Realty. With nearly 30 years' experience, she knows that right now is the best time to sell your home. Jenny will help you get top dollar, higher than ever before. With today's low interest rates, it's time to upgrade your home and increase its value. High demand and low inventory also make this a perfect time to list your home. Call for a free market analysis. Contact Jenny Siseski at Edina Realty today, 507-458-7038.
And welcome back to the Warrior Report here on HBC TV 25. We are brought to you by Russell & Associates, coming to you from the 111 Riverfront Building, the Latch Development Center in downtown Winona. Strength and Conditioning Coordinator Eddie Hodges joins us. Thanks for being here today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So you are football specific. We just heard from Coach Bergstrom before we went on air here, which is a little different at a university. Usually you're doing all kinds of different sports, but for you, it's just football. So what is that like to just have to do one sport here?
Yes, it makes things a lot easier, to say the least, because when you're at like a university or if you're in charge of a lot of other teams, you got to take into account of like making sure that this basketball team is doing this tennis team is doing that, all that. So now I just focus on football, and I can really dive deep in a lot of different things with training them and kind of making sure that their body's ready and all that. So it makes it a lot easier, and I like it a lot more.
All right, so you hear strength and conditioning coordinator, and I'm sure people think of all kinds of different things. Yeah. What exactly is your position here at Winona State? So
it's called strength and conditioning. I call it strength and speed. Mm-hmm. So the conditioning part is starting to become like an old school mentality type of a thing, especially with sports science, all that's coming out right now. So a lot of stuff is based off speed and how fast you can run, because a lot of the game now is speed and angles. Obviously you got to have size with it as well, right? But speed is a big component of it. So as that component, as I take on that strength and conditioning coordinator spot, or the strength and speed spot I call it, or sports performance is another big one that's used. I dive into like, how can we develop this athlete? So that takes in a lot of different pieces of the pie. So obviously strength is one, speed is one, nutrition is another one, because all the stuff that we do, if you don't have the right nutrition, it doesn't matter. So I can have the best strength program, get the guys the biggest size, run the fastest, but at the end of the day, if they don't fuel themselves properly, it doesn't matter. Same thing with that now, that goes on with sleep, so the recovery side of things. So being able to go to athletic training, be able to go to, doing recovery stuff, hot, cold tubs, or being able to stretch and all that stuff, it's pretty tough unless you have all those components in one. So with that position and with what I do, I try to educate the guys on those other parts, because I only can control what I can control in the weight room. So it helps out tremendously with that.
Okay. So what are some of the things that maybe people don't see, from day to day? Maybe some little things that you guys do to get the football team ready. Yeah.
So little things that we do. Obviously, we do the lifting side of things, right? Mm-hmm. So beforehand, we have a specialist come in that does a lot of RPR training. So reset performance. I forget the other R, but anyways, it doesn't matter. So RPR stuff, we do lymphatic drainage stuff beforehand. We do dynamic warm-up that, incorporates that with speed training. And then we go down to the weight room and do lifting stuff. But on top of that, diving into their mental health a little bit, because a lot of these students that are coming in and their parents are worried too, like, my kids getting taken care of, or they're stressed from tests and all that stuff. And in our field, a lot of us coaches forget the other stress that they're on. Mm-hmm. So what I do is take that encompassing and bring that into a room. Like today, we had meditation Mondays. So we go into this dance room, turn off all the lights, I turn on meditation music, and they get 5 minutes to kind of just decompress from the day, just be present, and kind of walk through a little meditation practice. Wednesdays, we call Wim Hof Wednesdays. It's a breathing technique, what we do, and they get a lot of benefit from that, just from the tingling sensation in their hands and their feet, and they're super oxygenated, their alkaline body. So little things like that will add on to their mental state and to their physical state as well too, and they can take this stuff and do it every day. So hopefully that ingrains a good habit that they can build off of. So those are two big ones that I kind of focus on. Obviously their mental health, and then just little things and making sure that their body's right. And especially on game days stuff too, especially if we're home, I bring up all my stuff, and we do a lot of recovery stuff before the game, activation, making sure that their mind is right.
All right, and you have another job besides all of this
Yes.
in lacrosse at Three Rivers Performance. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I started this Three Rivers Performance up. It's a sports performance facility in La Crosse, Wisconsin. We started up in February of 2020, so right before COVID happened. We pushed through that, made it through all that. So we're a strength and speed spot as well too, and we have recovery stuff in there. So recovery is a big component, especially with a lot of kids that are in season. So I started that up, and we've been growing ever since. And we have some big things planned for down La Crosse as well too, of how we grow outside of that and how we reach out to other schools. But just like this, we have contracts out with other high schools. So we have contracts with Aquinas High School, Holman High School. We go to Cashin and help them out. We go down to Prairie du Chien. We do stuff for Caledonia, Minnesota. Obviously stuff up here. So that's my other job, is making sure all those contracts are managed well and our coaches are doing our job and they're trained underneath our system. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff up here. We got done with the lift this morning. I was already working on my phone, doing a bunch of other stuff, taking care of my body as well too. And then now I'm going back, be there for a little while, go to Aquinas tonight, and be able to go home and hopefully do some stuff personally for myself.
All right, last minute here. Does it help both areas that you're doing something for Winona State, which obviously helps Three Rivers Performance, but because you're there, does that help your job here at Winona State? Is there a cross between the two?
Yeah, I think there's a huge cross between the two. Obviously, developing our name brand and stuff in this area and kind of what we do, that's a big benefit for us being at Winona State. And then us, Winona State being attached to us, having high-level coaches and being more the cutting edge of a lot of strength and speed stuff we do is going to obviously help them out, because we're always going to try to stay ahead of the curve, because we have to as a business. Because if you don't, then when we say you die as a business, right? So that's going to also help Winona State stuff out, because we're going to bring the new age and the new stuff up here to make sure that they're ready to go.
All right, very good. Well, thank you for joining us here today, and good luck with all of the work that you do, especially with the game getting ready for Augustana this week.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're going to take a break here on the Warrior Report. When we come back, Will Lescover will join us right after this.
For over 60 years, Russell & Associates has been helping individual and business clients achieve what matters to them. Our trusted advisors have the expertise and experience to help with long-term plans for personal finance, business finance, or wealth management. Focus on what matters most. Call Russell & Associates Certified Public Accountants and Advisors today at 507-452-3100 or visit us online at russellcpafirm.com.
The Command IQ app helps me manage the Wi-Fi in every room of the house however I want. Like this room, where my wife talks to her friends in her book club every week. She's my best friend.
Time out. Have you seen the abs on the latest Bachelor? My husband used to have abs, but now he just has flabs. I don't know. Now, he says he works out, but I think...
It's not a book club meeting, it's a make fun of me meeting. Well, what happens in book club doesn't always stay in book club. So?
Oh. Darla? Honey, my Wi-Fi is down. That never happens.
Well, that's strange. Well, we'll see if we can get someone to come fix it next month.
Okay, but what am I supposed to do about book club?
I don't know. Maybe read a book? Command IQ, you're my new best friend.
And welcome back to the Warrior Report here on HBC TV 25. We are brought to you by Russell & Associates, coming to you from the 111 Riverfront Building, the Latch Development Center in downtown Winona. Will Lescover is here joining us. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
So you're film coordinator, and what people don't realize is that when they're watching the show, especially in the first segment, all the highlights that you saw come from you.
Yes.
So what is your job here at Winona
So I'm the video coordinator. So I do everything from practice film to game film. I also intercut it all. So we have two wides, two tights during practice, and then one wide and one tight during games. So somehow those have to go together. So that's my job. I put them together, make sure that everything's good, and send it out to the coaches and the players so they have their film.
All right, so we all know what kind of goes into that because we work in the same business, but are you watching the game? Do you log video? How long does it take you to put the highlights together?
So During games, right now, luckily I have a crew of 5 people behind me. So it used to just be me and 2 other dudes that would do it. But now, because I have 5 guys, I'm able to kind of take myself back, and then during the game, I'm able to take the first half stuff and start putting it in with, put them together. So it's less work on the back end, so then I can, get it out faster after the game. During practice, right after practice, I get all the SD cards, plug them in, make sure that all the film's uploaded, make sure that we didn't miss any clips, because that's important that we don't miss any clips.
Yeah.
And then just get it out to the guys as soon as I can.
Now, obviously, there's a lot of coaches. There's a lot of different areas that are looking for film. Is it kind of like the Office Space where you got all these people coming up to you asking for the same thing?
Yeah, I think obviously all the coaches want good film, and the players also appreciate it as well. So making sure that I have the best film possible. I take a lot of pride in what I do, because guys can't perform well if they don't know what they did during practice. So being able to have the best film and being able to have guys that know what they're doing makes my job easier, and it's very important that we're all on the same page.
All right, so you're also a student too.
Yep.
So all of this that you have to do takes a lot of time, but you've been able to kind of do time management to be able to get all your work in as well. What's your major?
Yeah, so I'm a business administration major with a management minor. So I've been here, this is my last semester, 4.5. So I got here 2019 after I graduated high school. Obviously COVID hit, we all got sent home. Did online classes for that 1.5 years that we were online. Came back, still wanted to be around the football program. Football has been everything in my life. It's given me a lot. So just kind of being around it and being able to time management with football and school, it's taught me a lot on how to keep up with things.
So what's your plan after you graduate here?
So currently right now I work for a company that does telecommunications construction. So I'm still kind of in the internet kind of realm. So that's what I do on my with my other time. So being able to manage all that stuff on top of football and class. So post-graduation, I think I'm going to be going into telecommunications construction, doing some stuff over there.
All right. Do you get any feedback from any of the coaches on some of the stuff that you do?
Yeah, I do. Obviously, Coach Bergstrom, when I first met him, he's been great. So, he takes a lot of time out of his day to be able to, see how we're doing, which is really important, because obviously having our guys be able to, appreciate what we do, it also helps, the coaches appreciate what we do, and our stuff doesn't go unnoticed. So.
Where are you on game day? Are you around?
So I'm up in the box.
Okay.
Yep. Luckily, I'm the guy that normally would run the video board up there. So luckily, I got a guy now, so I'm able to kind of just remove myself and be in an office, being able to intercut film right away.
All right. So you were one of the people that put all the stuff on the big board then?
So that was a guy in our athletics department, but I do know I'm the one that runs the little joystick that gets all the tight film. So
very good.
Yeah.
So what obviously you have a plan. We just talked about that, about what you're going to do afterwards. Does football play any part in what your future plans may be, or what your ultimate goal might be?
I think football plays a part in the sense of being able to hold myself accountable with whatever I do. Being around a football team, being able to kind of be the guy that manages, and being able to hold myself accountable, knowing that if something goes wrong, we got to fix it. We're a team on the back end as well. So being able to hold myself accountable, I think that's what football has really helped me do.
All right.
So.
Well, I appreciate you joining us
Thank
here
you.
today, and I appreciate all the video that you get for us.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All
Thanks.
right. Thank you for watching the Warrior Report here on HBC TV 25. And a reminder, Winona State versus Augustana homecoming game this Saturday. You can watch at 2 p.m. right here on HBC TV 25. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.